This is a ChukiBeats production.
What's up, all you good fella fly guys? You know who it is, the cat in the hat, your resident fly guy, your chief architect, Michael Andrew of StyleArchitects.com, here to help you redesign your frame of mind when it comes to the styling thing. And welcome to another Discourse in Dress, some expressions for your ensemble and some sonnets for your style. Today we are going to be talking about some quick tips to help you quickly evaluate whether you are getting a quality shirt or not. Now, you know that shirts are the framework not only for your face but for your day. So I want to make sure that you are purchasing quality items when you are stepping out. Listen, fellas, players, if you are stepping out and you are going to only be wearing a shirt and you're not wearing any jackets, you're not having any armament for your attitude, which we'll be talking about soon, then it's vitally important for you to make sure that you are investing in quality, because that is what people are going to see. That's what's touching your skin. That's what's going to get you through the day. So fellas, invest in yourself. Dress yourself with the best of yourself, and understand that when you are making quality investments, you got to pay to play. That's just the long and the short of it. If you're dating a quality girl, you can't just Netflix and chill with her. She's going to expect to be wined and dined. Now, that doesn't mean that it costs a lot of money, and that's not a conversation we're going to start today. But just understand that you got to pay to play. It costs to be the boss, you dig? So when it comes to you buying a quality shirt, outside of you going vintage shopping or going to a consignment shop and getting something that has already been previously worn or is vintage, be prepared to invest anywhere between $75 and $175 for your dress shirt. Now listen, players, that's not even a lot of money if we get down to the nitty gritty. I know shirts that start out at $425. It can go as high as $800. Depending on the make of the fabric, depending on the brand, and depending on whether it's handmade or not. So don't get all bent out of shape about the investment that you're having to make. I've had this shirt that I have on for almost 7 years, and it still looks great. You would never be the wiser because it was a quality investment. And so I want you to get into the framework of you making quality investments in your clothing, and the shirts are a great way to start that out. So again, here are some quick tips for quickly spotting a quality dress shirt. So a great way for you to tell quickly whether a shirt is quality or not is to pay attention to the seams. Now, I'm not just talking about the stitching there. We'll get to that in a second. But we're talking about the pattern. Now, if you have a plain shirt, it's not the easiest thing to pay attention to, but if you see something that is striped or checked, you can always pay attention to the sleeves to see if they are in alignment with one another. If they aren't, then that means that the person who was making it either was not skilled enough or just didn't have the wherewithal or the attention to detail to make sure that everything was in alignment. Now, when you see those things, then that means that the people took time and potentially extra fabric to make sure that everything was seamless so that it always looked together. And while a lot of people are not going to pay attention to this because a lot of guys simply don't know, you paying attention to those details will separate you when you are in those places around the people who do understand quality, and it will immediately elevate the space that you're engaged in. Another quick tip for a quick look at a quality shirt is going to be the stitching. Now, usually speaking, lower end shirts that are going to be at the $30 to $50 price range are going to have wider stitches, and those are usually about 3 to 4 stitches per centimeter. And while you probably aren't doing any measurements there, if you see longer stitches on a shirt, then that generally means it's probably going to be of lower quality. Now, something that has much tighter stitches, which is probably going to be about 8 to 10 stitches per centimeter, are going to be higher quality shirts. And what that means essentially is that the way that the shirt is constructed is much tighter, which means that the seams and everything are going to stay in place when you're ironing, when you're laundering your shirt, and you don't have to worry about those things coming undone and showing a lower value for your purchase. These things are going to hold up over the test of times. Now, one caveat, as it is summertime, I know that a lot of you guys may be going to get linen shirts. It was a recommendation for last week, But if that's the case, then you don't want something that's going to be that tight, because what it will do is it will begin to pull on those bigger weaves and could potentially tear the shirt. And while we're on stitching, let's talk about the buttonholes that are going to be on your shirt and how they're made. Now, generally speaking, low-end shirts have their buttonholes put on first, and then they go ahead and cut the hole inside of the button. But higher end shirts actually cut the button first, and then they sew around that. And the reason that they do this is because they can make sure that they get all of the stitching covered. When you sew it first and then you cut it in there, you're going to have frayed edges and things could come apart, and it's going to make the shirt look cheap over time and speak to the fact that it wasn't a quality shirt. The next thing that we'll talk about, since we're in this space, is going to be the buttons. Now, two things you're going to pay attention to when it comes to your buttons, and that's the way that the button is made and then the way that the button is put on. When it comes to qualitative buttons are generally going to be made of what's called mother of pearl. Now, this is going to have a very distinct look, but a lot of designers have gotten really good at creating faux mother of pearl buttons. So when it comes to the mother of pearl buttons, it's been advised by some great stylistic guys to put your tongue on the button, and that way if it's cold, you know that it's a mother of pearl button. If it's warm or it's room temperature, you know it's a plastic button. But don't be the crazy dude putting your tongue on all types of buttons in the store. Take your ass to the dressing room and do that in private. Alright, don't buy it yet, but just take it to the dressing room so you're not looking like the crazy dude who's getting picked up for putting your tongue on buttons. Alright, so the next thing that you should be thinking about when it comes to the button is how it's secured. And when it comes to you having a secure button, that's going to be something that's going to help you feel confident when you're moving throughout the day. You don't have to worry about your button coming undone or falling off at some inopportune time when you can't put it back on. And so when it comes to qualitative buttons and how they're put on, then you always want to look for a slight space in between the button and the base of the shirt, which will be called a shank. And that shank is going to create spacing when you're putting on the shirt, and then also it'll make it easier when you are taking it off. So there's a functionality there to it, but the other function is that it will keep the button secure and in place over a long amount of time. The next quick tip that you can take on when quickly looking for a quality shirt is the collar. Now, again, we've been on collars for probably about 2 or 3 weeks at some point within each conversation, and that's because a collar is very, very important in your comfort, and then like I told you, how it shapes your face. And when it comes to collars, the collars are going to have 2 pieces of fabric. So you're going to have the outer layer, and then you're going to have the under collar that is going to be there, and then in between that you'll see a piece of fabric that is called the facing. And that facing will help keep everything aligned and secured together. So when you have a quality piece, that facing is not going to be glued down. It's either going to be stitched or it will be free moving. So the edges are stitched so that it will stay in place, but it's still going to be able to move with the rest of the fabric. Or you can have a fabric that has no facing in between it. Now, if you do get a shirt with no facing in between it, a lot of guys will be like, ooh, I got a quality shirt. But bear in mind that when you have something like that, it's going to be a mother trying to iron. So if you are a guy who does not like to iron or is not proficient in that space, go ahead and stay away from that. Just get something with a movable facing or a lightly stitched facing that will move with the fabric, and that way it'll stay qualitative. Again, the reason you don't want any fusing is because fusing is equated to glue, and anytime glue gets wet, when you're steaming it or it gets hot, it's going to come undone, and therefore you are going to be looking like you're coming undone in the space right before your face. It's not a good transition that you want to create for yourself. So the last quick tip that you want to pay attention to when you are quickly looking for a quality shirt, and by the way guys, you don't have to quickly look for it, definitely take your time. What you can do is pay attention to the stitching. Now, quality shirts are usually going to have single stitching, and that's because a quality shirt is going to take more time to stitch down. If you're doing it in those small stitches, you have to pay attention, make sure that everything is straight, make sure that everything is on point. And so that can definitely speak to the hallmark of a quality shirt. Another thing that you may want to pay attention to when you're looking at that is the things that a lot of people may not even see or pay attention to. And that's the hem of the shirt. A lot of people don't see the hem of the shirt, so they're not going to pay attention to it. And a lot of quick shirt makers will just say, we're just going to make sure that the roll of the hem is taken down. But if you see one seamless stitch on your shirt, then you know that that person was paying attention, was about precision and about those details. And again, that will speak to the quality of the shirt. So listen, just some quick tips when you are quickly looking for a quality shirt. Now listen, if you guys want me to go more in depth about this, then please, by all means, leave me some comments in the comment box, and we'll talk more about some different things that you can look for when it comes to qualitative shirts and how they end up helping your consciousness, what they do for the construction of your wardrobe, and ultimately what they communicate for you. If you found this video informative and beneficial, please make sure that you give this a thumbs up. Please make sure that you share this with your friends. I guarantee you, somebody's about to go out this weekend and purchase a shirt, and they need to know how to make this qualitative purchase. So please share this with a friend. Please make sure that you subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. We are here every Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here to make sure that you are redesigning your frame of mind when it comes to the styling thing. And please, guys, make sure that you are framing yourself, your day, and your experiences with quality. You deserve it. And don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind, so you should always dress to express. I'll see you next week. Peace. The best to yourself. Now today we are going to be talking all about streamlining your shirts.